as of October 31st, 2017, we've had 10 traumatic injury fatalities in Saskatchewan and 12 occupational disease. So those are the stats as of now. What they don't show is the rate of the fatality rate and in comparison to other provinces. So that's what I want to turn to next. If we look at the traumatic injury fatality rate here, and this is a rate per 100,000 workers, from 2010 to 2016, we see that Manitoba, among the prairie provinces, had the lowest rate, followed by Alberta, and Saskatchewan, with the green line, has had the highest rate. In fact, some years it's been more than double Alberta's rate. In 2012, our injury fatality rate was 10.3 per 100,000. Another way to think about that is Regina has about 200,000 people living in it. That'd be the equivalent to 20 people dying from a work-related injury in that year. If we turn to occupational disease fatality rate, we can see that there's not a great deal of differences among the provinces. Again, the rate is per 100,000. We can see that most years in Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, the rate is somewhere just under 5, between 3 and 5 per 100,000 workers. However, this rate may increase in the future due to exposure to asbestos. Workers who are exposed in 2017, say doing home renovations, may not develop mesothelioma in their lungs until, say, 2040, for example. So prevention today is key for occupational disease.
When we look at the fines that companies will incur in Saskatchewan, they are being seen to be much lower than elsewhere in Canada. Why is that?
Well, Saskatchewan changed its maximum penalty for work-related fatalities in 2014. The previous maximum fine was only $300,000. And today, it's the maximum is $1.5 million for a corporation and up to $500,000 for other size of businesses. So why aren't we seeing higher fines here today? Well, it does take time for cases to work its way through. Several factors come into play when considering level of fines. So the level of culpability, the size of the organization, the severity of if it's an injury, those come into play. So the smaller the employer, all else equal, the smaller the fine will be. But clearly there is room, significant room, for higher fines. And in fact, when they introduced the changes into the Saskatchewan Employment Act, one of the intentions of the higher fines was to achieve greater deterrence for employers. So hopefully we see in the coming months and years higher fines from in prosecutions through the Ministry of Justice.
Is there something that can be learned from what happened in that boom time around 2012 when we saw such a spike in fatalities in the workplace?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint the precise causes of that, but based on the evidence, I think a few factors came into play here. One, Saskatchewan, as you said, experienced rapid GDP growth, and that growth was in sectors such as oil and gas and construction. So oil well servicing, for example, their number of fatalities doubled over this period compared to previous years. The other factor I think that comes into the mix is the visibility of enforcement in the province. We weren't doing as many inspections, we weren't doing as many targeted inspections. We've addressed that partially with some hiring of some new safety inspectors. I think we need to do more to prevent a repeat of this. And I think another factor too is the maximum fine, which is $300,000 here. And that, for some of the larger corporations in the province, really didn't send a strong enough message. So I think if we step up those things, we increase our presence and the number of inspections we do in the province, I think that will help a great deal. We also have a part of the legislation, which is the right to refuse dangerous work. And I'd like to see more public awareness of that right and more use of it in workplaces. In fact, I'd like to see, in a situation where you've got young workers working, an older co-worker being able to refuse work on behalf of a younger worker.